Have you ever had that feeling deep in your bones that someone is watching you? Not just a fleeting glance, but a constant heavy presence that follows you, even when you're completely alone? I used to be a skeptic. I'd laugh off ghost stories and roll my eyes at tales of things that go bump in the night. That all changed last winter. I was house-sitting for my aunt in this old, sprawling Victorian house way out in the countryside. You know the type. Creaky floors, drafty windows, and a history that felt thick. For the first few days it was fine, peaceful even. But then little things started happening. A door I swore I had closed would be found wide open. I'd hear faint whispers that sounded like they were coming from just outside the room, but when I'd check, there was nothing. I blamed it on the old house settling, the wind, my own overactive imagination. One night I was in the living room trying to read. The only light came from a single lamp beside my chair, casting long, dancing shadows across the room. That's when I saw it. At the far end of the hallway, just beyond the edge of the light, a shadow moved. It wasn't my shadow. It was tall, unnaturally thin, and it detached itself from the wall, stepping into the darkness of the hall. My heart hammered against my ribs. I froze, my eyes locked on the spot where it had been. I told myself it was a trick of the light. It had to be. I forced myself to get up, my legs trembling, and walked to the light switch at the end of the hall. I flicked it on. The hallway was empty. I let out a shaky breath, a nervous laugh escaping my lips. "Get a grip," I muttered to myself. But the feeling of being watched only intensified. It was like a physical weight on my shoulders. I decided to go to bed, hoping sleep would reset my frayed nerves. I made sure to lock my bedroom door, something I'd never done before. I crawled under the covers, pulling them up to my chin like a little kid. I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I knew I was awake. The room was pitch black and utterly silent, but it was the silence that was so terrifying. It felt heavy, unnatural. And then I heard it. A slow, deliberate scratching sound. Scurrip, scurrip. It was coming from the other side of my bedroom door. It sounded like a long fingernail being dragged down the wood from top to bottom over and over again. My blood ran cold. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The scratching stopped. For a moment there was that heavy silence again. And then a voice, a dry, raspy whisper, came from right beside my bed. It said, "I know you're awake." I've never screamed so loud in my entire life. I scrambled out of bed, fumbled for the light switch, and flooded the room with light. It was empty. The door was still locked from the inside. There was no one there. But when I looked at the door, my heart stopped. On the inside of the door, where I was, were long, deep scratches, running from the top all the way to the bottom. Whatever was in that house